Hey there, traders. We're back for another daily recap. This one is for Friday, March 21. As you can see, I'm making this on Sunday. It's March 23, 7 p.m. or so. So here's a daily chart, and we're looking at the SPY, and the last candle is Friday. So they closed above the zone, the high of the zone, which is 563.65. It wasn't one of the levels on the board. We'll look at that in a minute. But it was important that the bulls closed above the zone on Friday because it was the end of the week. I think that might say something for the near term of where they might be headed. If we look at a weekly chart, we can see that the previous week you had this kind of tail candle on some decent volume. Got a little doji candle closing slightly above the zone. The official close of the week was 563.98. In the game plan, which was emailed out in the morning before the opening bell, we will see soon that I mentioned something about the monthly close, which is in about a week or so. So see the low of this big breakup candle? The low is 567.89. So it would be really good if the bulls could get price above the low of this breakup candle. That would keep this bullish consolidation intact, and they could go higher. So we have another week or so before the month of March closes, and we'll see. Don't know if this is the beginning of the run, or we're going to see some more fake outs this week, and then they're going to go higher. If we get another couple days, we're definitely a week close below this zone, and by the end of this month, they're down there somewhere under 567. Let's just call it 567 even, and certainly under this zone. Then something else might be going on, and we might see lower prices coming. However, right now, at least on this daily chart, looks like the bulls are trying to get some strength underneath them. And by the way, since it's 7 p.m. on Sunday, the futures have already pushed price up 20 points or so, at least the last time I looked about 30 or 40 minutes ago. Go ahead and read through the game plan. Here's the levels that were sent out before the opening bell, 9:06 a.m. And it's important to read through this because of things I'm saying about where they need to be at the end of the week, end of the month. This last paragraph here, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but it's worth noting where the monthly chart of the SPY is right now and what might happen in the future. So, read through this if you want. This is what was sent out before the opening bell on Friday morning. And here's a look at the entire day on Friday on a 1-minute chart. I put the zones here, 561 at the bottom, 563.65 at the top. I just put these levels back on the chart just for reference. They weren't tradable areas for today, although it looks like they would have worked pretty well. It's just to show where price was relative to this zone, because going into the day, my thought was price wanted to get above, like the bulls wanted to get price above this zone and close Friday, which is the end of the week, above the zone, as I've already said. So what would you have done if you were treating this as a process? So giving the spiders 15 minutes to settle in, they came up kind of close before and then came back down. So the close of the 9:45 candle down here somewhere. So they're below 560.40. We're going to adjust this 5 cents toward price. So 560.35 we would go short in the E-minis if they hit it. Well, they came up close here at this 9:59 a.m. candle. They got to a high of 560.32, 3 pennies away, and really pulled away. So that's a near miss. So this level is off the table for any future short trades. Ironically enough, they went up to the penny and hit 560.40, which was our original level, and pulled away again. I guess it's not ironic. They do that fairly often. I just like to trade these levels the first time they're hit. It's just safer that way, generally speaking. So all these little reactions here on the short side wouldn't have mattered until they got above. So now they're above this level. They got out of this level or above this level at 10:56 a.m. and exactly 20 minutes later at 11:16 a.m., they were down into it again. So it's okay to take a long trade if you want. I did. I'll show it to you. And so you're looking for a bounce of 4 points. And I just moved the price up 5 cents toward price, just my little buffer, which helps in some trades. Looking for a bounce of 4 points in the E-minis, which would be right about here. If I get under the fumble threshold below and do certain things, then that would generally mean you would reverse. Well, this was a near miss as well, but this time a near miss of the profit objective because they got to a high of 560.78. So within 10 cents of the profit objective, within a minute or two, we're back down to your entry point. That would have been a wash. You would have jumped out per the rules. I rode this trade down a little bit longer, kind of got wrong-footed and reversed it. We're pretty much able to wash my entire loss out. We'll look at that in a minute. So now this level at 560.40, the original level, is off the table for future trades. This is just for reference. We're not trading 561. It wasn't on the board. They get up to 563.32. You would go short at 563.27. And that was a nice base hit. I'll put a reference line here for your profit objective. That's 4 points in the E-minis, and I know they did it. I was in this trade. I saw $400 on my 2 contracts, but I was holding out for 5. And after coming up short of my 5-point profit objective, and they went back up, I actually jumped out at a wash. Probably should have stayed in this longer. But at this point, I was really expecting price to go higher and get above this zone. So later, as you'll see shortly, I jumped on board on the long side and rode this thing up. Got about 9 points or so in that area right there. And then we're not going to attempt any more short trades by the time they get up to here. This last attempt here, 5 minutes before the closing bell, that was when the bulls were able to get above and stay above the top of the zone, which was kind of expected going into the morning. We will take a look at the trades that I took. Notice the time. And I'm just going to scrub ahead here, and I'll show you when I decided that 560.40 was going to be a near miss. That was even before that 15-minute window. But that proved to be the correct assessment. That was the original official near miss, this big pullback. And by the way, there are probably going to be some flashes of other screens. I was working on a couple other things, and I tried to cut some of it out to clean this up. But for the most part, it's pretty good. But you're going to see some flashes of other charts and things. So hopefully that's not too annoying. But anyway, so I didn't take this trade at 560.35 on the short side. And then what did I do? Oh, yeah, I just want to point something out here. I'm going to pause. So see this kind of area that I identified in real time? I saw some reasons that they could probably react from this level if they got above here. And so I wanted to go short here. I wanted them to go up kind of fast and get to this area, and I would go short. But the more time they spent under 560.35, I started thinking, well, maybe I don't want to be on the short side here. I'm going to let them go up here and react at what I thought would be a stronger level. Anyways, keep in mind we're, say, 560.83. That was the equivalent in the E-minis. So see what they did in that area. Would have been out of the money had I gone short with my 2 contracts here. But as you can tell, it worked out. So, I went long on the recycle trade, 2 contracts. But I was holding out for a lot more than 4 points. And that was the near miss. I should have jumped out at a wash, but instead I held on. And when I got the fumble signal, I reversed. So I lost like 5 points or so. And then got slightly more than 5 points on the reversal. So kind of washed that out. So now I'm short. I reversed it. Let's pull this down. What I ended up doing is just trailing part of it. I should have just taken the entire thing off. But anyway, you can see what happened there. So I'll speed up here or scrub ahead here. Didn't do anything until they got up to 563.27. That was an automatically triggered trade. Went short in the E-minis. The moment the spiders hit that, there we go. I'm short 2. So I'm holding for 5 points. And they gave 4 points. Just boom, just barely, like right there. And I jumped out at a wash. Anyway, should have stayed in it, but anyway, it happened. And then what I ended up doing is going long, a little early, I think, because I started seeing some other things, thinking, all right, we have a little bit of time, another hour or so, a couple hours, before the bulls need to get into gear and try to get price above the top of this zone, 563.65. So I was long at this point and kind of waited around and held out for it. And I got 9 points there. And now it's not sped up. It's back to real time. And stopped this right before 2 o'clock. Wasn't interested in doing anything else. So that's the last trade for me. So I was able to end in the green after those initial little hiccups where I wasn't exactly playing by my own rules. But it's kind of good to just read the market and see where you're at. And I really wanted to be on the long side most of the time. And I didn't really have the right opportunity until the very end. But enough about that. We'll jump to the tracking logs. You can read the notes here on playing by the rules. See where you would have not triggered level 3 here, near miss. And then that recycle was a wash. You should have jumped out with no gain or no loss. And then a base hit on level 4. That was pretty much it. So 4 points. A little bit more notes on mine because, well, it was a near miss the first time. I attempted the recycle and I held on a little bit longer and ended up jumping out. So 5-point fumble, 5.64 points on the reversal. And the wash here up at level 4, the first wash, was basically a negative 1 point. Gave 1 point back. Once again, holding out a little bit more than my 4-point base hit. Kind of paid the price there. But I got 9 points on the long position that I took when it was kind of under that level. So 864 before commissions is where I landed for the day. So that's it for Friday. Thanks for watching. So tomorrow morning, 9:45 a.m. Eastern, there are some PMI numbers coming out. So that could have some effect on what price does or what they do to price. And we're going to find out in the morning in the pre-market whether they were able to stay above this zone or they get back down the middle of it. It could have some bearing on what that data release might do tomorrow morning, but we'll find out. But until then, thanks again for following the channel. I do appreciate it. I'll talk to you again soon. Have a great day.